of last year, John Fox. Try to get through this phone. So, I started working with John in 1996, and 95, 96, somewhere in there. And we really became fast friends, and we had the kind of relationship where I just knew what he was thinking, and he knew what I was thinking, and he knew that he had to get on my side if he was thinking something different. But there was really nothing ever that John was asked to do that he did not step up and learn how to do. He was an incredible friend, and you're going to get to hear some video montage from a bunch of folks that knew him quite well. But I really felt like it was fitting to ask what I think of as one of John's best friends over the years. George Kent came into Oxford House around 2005. A lot of dates floating in my head. And during that time, previously to that, John had happened to have a few people in his life, two very good friends that passed away that were part of Oxford House and worked for Oxford House, who had not had a return to use, just happenstance. And he'd gotten into a new role, and he was working with some folks, and he said, you know, there's this guy, he's great, I think you really like him. And this guy came and he stayed, and he has been an excellent employee. But I know John thought of him very, very highly, and let me backtrack just a little bit and say John would be really pissed off that we were doing this tonight. I just had to acknowledge that. But sometimes I won a few arguments here and there, and we really, it's a special evening because John kept his family life and his work life very separate, and his family is joining us tonight. And they've never really participated in an Oxford House event. And they're at this table over here, and we would like to just welcome you heartily. And with that, I'll bring George Kent.
Hey, there's an audience, sorry. Until you get up here, you don't realize. I'm Alex, my name is George. As Kathleen said, I just celebrated my 19th year of Oxford House Remember with my regional managers. Not consistent, no stops, no breaks. I was thinking about like faking an injury on the way up here or something. There's no part of me that wants to be up here right now, you know. Knowing that this day was coming, before I even knew that I'd be up here, you know, I just regretted it because I've never been to North Carolina and John not been here, you know. And I haven't been here, I don't know, 7 years or something like that, but I was a wreck in my room before. You know, I told my wife I walked 2 miles just to try to calm down. She goes, I thought you said it was raining. I go, yeah, I didn't leave the room. I was like back and forth. I couldn't stop, you know. But yeah, it's definitely weird with, you know, him not being here. Because it was part of, you know, my time to hang out with me. John didn't really get a lot of time to hang out, but I would always look forward to coming here. You know, and it makes me regret that I didn't come here more. You know, that I missed out on times that I could have spent with him and all of us. And I heard this quote by it's fitting, but by Kobe Bryant, and if you know how he passed, it said, you know, our biggest mistake in life is we think we have more time. You know, and if I knew the last call was going to be the last call, you know, what would I have said? What would all have said? You know, what would we have done? But I think with John, a lot of stuff didn't need to be said. I mean, if you were in his circle, you knew where you stood with him. You know, John, for me, just had a warm feeling. And for me, I wanted to be like John. John was my mentor, my friend, and everything we do up in New Jersey, northeast part of the country is, what John taught me. So what John will leave behind is going to be generational. It's because I learned it, I passed it on to my team, who's passing it on to the other team, and his fingerprints will continue to be all over this model. Will continue to be part of this. And Kathleen said about the, family separate and work, and John was in my wedding, right? And it was my brother, my friend, actually from Oxford House, and John. It was a small group. My wife says because I had no friends, because I had a tight circle, But it was the first time that I really hung out with John outside of the work environment, And I had a silly family, and he was joking with my dad and stuff like that, and it was just cool to see. And it really, showed the character of John and the friendship that we had. And I'll give you one quick story. Is early on, probably about 15 years ago, I was struggling. And it's probably something girl related or something. And I did what any struggling addict would do, and I called her my boss. And I told him, it was in the morning, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, "You want me to take you to a meeting?" I laughed. I was like, I live about like 30 minutes outside New York City. I was like, "John, that's like 8 hours away." He goes, "You think they got night meetings?" And I was like, wow. So he would do that for me. He would come right now and take me to a meeting and drive the 8 hours if I asked him to. And I think everybody has little stories of that, his impact. And I remember when he first passed away, and thinking about something to say, and I learned so much from John, but he didn't talk a lot. I watched him. It's that traction rather than promotion kind of piece. John taught me how to be a leader, but never really spoke about how to be a leader. John taught me how to do things, but we never really discussed how he did them. The only time I remember having any conversation with John about doing things is he was excited he figured out how to do something on Excel or something. He didn't really boast. Much like me, he'd be in the back of the room, not looking for attention, not saying much. And I acknowledge, well, we're all very sad that he's not here. We'll never get to meet my boys or, all these things we could have did. But I'm extremely grateful to God that he gave me as much time as he did with John. Give us all we did, because we're better off because we knew him. We're better off with the time that we had than if we didn't have any. And I, as a man of faith, I don't believe that God makes any mistakes. He was here for the right amount of time for me. I'm sure a lot of people might, feel differently, but for me, I almost feel like I got it from here, John. Thanks for all you've done. We can take it from here. We know the direction ahead. And like I said, this will be generational and stuff that we continue to pass on. And Kathleen said it right, there would be never a chance that we could do something like this if John was here. Just never, and I would joke around and try to mess with him. And I was thinking about the one time, I regret it now, but he was going to come to our conference, and it would have been the last one he came to, and I joked with him, because I can never be serious. My wife said all the time. And I told him that the hotel had bed bugs. But if he had any bites or scratches, they would include complimentary breakfast the entire stay. And he goes, "That's the only hotel thing you guys got up there?" And I told him I was joking. He didn't believe me. He didn't come. And I regret that. That would have, again, a missed opportunity. But we had that sense of humor. He had a way about him, and the people that knew him, like I said, knew where they stand with him. He cared, and he showed, grace to people, and I want to have the grace like John said. I remember he would tell me if I was having an issue going on, he would remind me, like, well, what were you like when you had 9 months clean, when you had 6 months clean? And I was trying to put it in perspective. And in closing, I read this thing and it just felt appropriate. In the hearts of those who love you, you will always be there. As you were, you always will be. Treasured forever in our memory, we keep in our hearts the great memories of the past, for there it was planted forever to last. Your presence we miss, your memory we treasure, thinking of you always, forgetting you never. Thank you.
I'm Kathleen Gibson, and what an honor it is to share a few quick memories of my good friend John Fox and co-worker of 30 years. The first time I met John in 1996, he was living in Henderson, North Carolina in an Oxford house, and it was the middle of summer, and he had cut-off jeans on and a t-shirt and a car full of Oxford houseboats. They were headed to the lake to have some fun. And I thought to myself, John would make a great outreach worker, or at least a great volunteer, because that's how we all started back then. Over the years, the biggest impact John had on my life was just his consistency and his ability to make you feel good about what you were doing and know that you were doing the right thing. We always said that John was our moral compass, always keeping us on track and making sure we were making the right decisions and doing the right things as we expanded the network of Oxford houses. There are so many memories, it's just even hard to pick one. The thing that John would always remind me of was to keep my sense of humor and not to take myself so seriously. And I'm very grateful to that because we all need to have those people in our lives that remind us of those things. John was responsible for, opening so many houses in North Carolina, but he was really responsible for much, much more than that. If not for John, Oxford House would not have expanded the way that it has, especially over the last 10 years. Being one of the first folks to really step up into the leadership position as a regional manager, one of two at that time. He really guided so many people into outreach and helped us create how we do that job and what we do when we do it. And we will be forever grateful to him. He really changed the landscape of recovery, in North Carolina especially, and did it without having to say a lot. When John was in a room and he was talking, everybody was listening because he was a man of few words. I will always be grateful to him for all the things that he did for Oxford House and for me personally. He is very loved, and we are very grateful for all that he's done. Thank you.
I think how John Fox impacted my life, is several times. One was that he had hired me to do this job in December of 2018. He took a chance on a kid that really didn't know what the job entailed. He talked me down off a cliff on several different occasions, and John was one of the men that when he spoke, I listened, and when he asked for something to be done, I got it done. And hopefully it would make him proud of me. The things I admired most about John was that he was quiet, and he was reserved, and that he stood on business. He was one of my mentors, and I never doubted that he would have led me wrong during tough times. He had something that I wanted, that cool, calm demeanor that he had, but also straight to the point with no filter at times. I'd simply say, yes, sir, and I'd handle business. The last thing he told me was to handle some stuff and to simply keep it moving. I miss you, John.
I'm Karen McKinnon, and my life was impacted by John Fox. Because when I would call him and tell him that something was giving me trouble, or I couldn't get it, or I didn't know how, his response was, well, you got something to do for today, learn how to do it. Call me if you have any other issues. And so I learned how to learn.
Hi, my name is Leah Tyler, and I work for Oxford House Incorporated, and I've known John since 2001. I think the biggest impact John had on my life was just knowing how he was so involved in North Carolina Oxford houses in the 90s. He was one of the old timers. Him and Kathleen made it a go and made all the Oxford houses survive. And because of them, Oxford House is like huge in North Carolina, which is really very comforting to me. John was always so even-keeled and never seemed to raise his temper or never get upset. He had a lot of patience, and I love him, and I miss him.
Most about John Fox. What I appreciate most about John is that he made it an honor for me to be part of the Oxford House family and to carry the flag and do it with principle, integrity. Thank you, John.
Hey family. Not sure exactly what to say about John Fox. I really didn't think that I'd have to make a video like this for him. I just kind of saw him as he was just a rock for Oxford House. He was always there. He'd been there since I came in. And he was always in the back of the room, quiet, usually in a good mood. And he carried a big stick, but he didn't have to talk about it. And that's a rare thing. There's a quote that knowledge speaks and wisdom listens.
John, you are a man of not so many words. Always so calm, cool, and collected, no matter what was going on around you. There could be chaos and negativity, and you always remained that calm in the storm. Always had a smile for everyone you came in contact with. You'll be missed, my friend.
John was always a steadying, pragmatic force, the most calm and calming probably of anyone who's ever worked for this organization. I've heard rumors over the years that he was known once in a blue moon to get angry and show it. Maybe Kathleen and his North Carolina staff can speak to that, but I never saw it, not once in 20 years. For me, early on when I was still figuring out how to do all this, John was a reminder that despite all the drama, crisis management that defines the role of outreach, we still get to choose how to react to it. And not feeding into the chaos was always a better approach. And I needed to be reminded of it.
Think about John Fox. I think about a real man whose focus was helping others find their voice. He helped me find my voice 25 years ago. And because of that, I've been able to stay on the path of recovery.
Appreciate most the accountability, right? So like I remember being at conventions and like he was everywhere that you didn't know he was gonna be. And he kept us all accountable to make sure we were doing what we were supposed to be doing, even if no one was looking, because he was always looking.
My life has been impacted by John Fox because from the very beginning of my Oxford Health journey, he was the one who interviewed me twice, and hired me twice, and I will be forever grateful for that. And what do you appreciate most about John Fox? I appreciate that I felt like he always had the answer. You could call him, and he had the direct way of telling you, and you knew he would have the answer. And I will miss that the most.
So it's hard to say how my life has been impacted by John Fox because I know there's so many ways. First and foremost, as someone who found recovery in an Oxford House bed in South Carolina, just the ripple effect of all the work John did over the years in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. I probably wouldn't have had that bed if John Fox did not exist. So for that, I'm eternally grateful.
He was a person that didn't talk much, but when he talked, everybody would listen. I remember the day he told me I had the job, how grateful I was to have somebody like him to be in my life. I remember telling somebody that I wanted to be like him, where I don't talk much, but I want people to listen to me when I
He's a
think.
very, very special person. He was that voice of reason, and he was always that calm in the storm. The money man, that's what we always.
There are a lot of people giving this tribute to John. I'm trying to keep it lighthearted because I think we've all been grieving for a while now, and this is a celebration of life. And so I just want to kind of keep this upbeat, and if not only for myself, but everyone else out here. So I just want to say that, John, we love you. You will be truly missed. And to Jonathan and Robin, just know that you guys are a part of our family. You guys are a part of our family. We love you guys. If there's anything you guys ever need, please do not hesitate to call. Ricky Fox, rest in peace.
What I appreciated most about John was his cool and calm demeanor. I knew I could call him at any time, and didn't matter what I was going through, he'd be able to calm my spirit. I really don't think I would have survived my first couple of years in Charlotte as outreach if I didn't have him to call and chat with.
When I think about how John has affected my life, it's really hard to put into words. I really don't know where my life would be today had our paths not crossed. 12 years ago, John took a chance offering me a job to work in North Carolina, and I will forever be grateful for that chance he took.
John Fox, what to say? There's two phrases that stick in my mind when I think of John Fox. And that is, if you work for Oxford House and you don't have a program of recovery, you will. The other one is Dean, put onto them legs and just stick to the model. I truly miss you. You will forever be in our hearts and our minds. Love you, John.
John Fox, the man, the myth, the legend. He impacted my life by allowing me to realize that I can affect others' lives positively, finding solutions and getting out of problems. And one thing that I really admired about John was his heart, his big heart. Although he was a little quiet and he was always straight to the point, his heart was big. It was full of love and hope for all.
Just want to touch a little bit on John Fox and the impact that he has made in my life. I'm sure many of us have probably mentioned that John was a man of few words, but again, the impact that those words had were huge. Not only for myself, but countless others.
I also have this sense of humor that I really love and appreciate, but don't get it twisted. When John asked for something to get done, it got done. What do I appreciate most about John Fox? This question makes me think back to the last conversation I had face-to-face with John. Back in the fall of 2023 at our World Convention, I caught John off to the side, which is where he typically could be found. I was having a tough time, which is not typical at conventions or any events like these, and walked up to John and I asked him, how do you continue to do it after so many years? And John said to me in John fashion, Jordan, We do it for the members. I'm just one small piece of the puzzle. I'm not even the corner piece. Convention went on, and that conversation, more than anything else that happened, really helped get me out of that funk and help re-energize me. So to sum it up, I appreciate John's simplicity and love for what he did.
I can sit here and honestly say that the biggest impact John Fox had on my life was, teaching me how to be the best person and outreach worker for Oxford House that I can be. I can remember when John called me to do the interview about hiring me, one of his questions were, if I called you and asked you to go to Maine, what would your answer be? And I had to think about that, and I was like, man, this guy's gonna ask me to go to Maine? But I had to respond in a way that, I was brought up to respond. And I told John, well, usually, I was always taught that usually when your boss tells you to do something, you just go get it done.
In reflecting on the impact of John's presence within our community, I am struck by the profound sense of accomplishment, emotion, and calmness that his interactions instilled within me. Although I did not have the privilege of working directly under his supervision, the brief exchanges we shared left an indelible mark on my heart and mind. John was a man of few words, yet his quiet strength and unwavering dedication to Oxford House and its residents were unmistakable. His mere presence commanded respect, and when he did speak, his words resonated deeply with all who were fortunate enough to listen.
Hi, I'm Lori, and I've known John for the past 15 years. I want to read a quote that kind of sums John up for me. The quiet ones are uniquely gifted. They have tremendous patience and empathy. They don't need to say much, yet they're able to build deep connections and rapport with those around them. John was always such a wonderful example of leadership, honesty, and integrity for me. I love you very much, John. I'm going to miss you tremendously.
different awards, and we give out Founders Awards, and I can honestly say that over the years, John received a Founders Award from Oxford House Incorporated, and probably somewhere along the way at one of our many gatherings here. But tonight we wanted to give him the North Carolina Oxford House's Distinguished Lifetime Founders Award. Needs some support. So, very difficult to work with him for 30 years. I did really well all day. He really loved his family, and we're really grateful to you all, whether you knew it or not, that you shared him with us. So we wanted to present this award to you all. And it just says the North Carolina Oxford House's Distinguished Lifetime Founders Award to John K. Fox, in loving memoriam, in appreciation of his outstanding contributions to the founding of the success of the network of over 300 Oxford Houses across the state of North Carolina, and in helping tens of thousands of recovering individuals who have passed through the doors. May 4th, 2024.
say. Most of you knew my dad from your time at work together, whether it be phone calls, meetings, conferences, or conventions. However, for me, it was a totally different ball game. To me, he was just dad. For a majority of my life, it was just the two of us, creating great memories that I will forever hold dearly. Whether we were just at home, watching movies, or throwing the football in the backyard. He would take me to Myrtle Beach, play putt-putt, out to restaurants, and out to watch movies. I'll forever hold these memories dearly. However, it wasn't all just fun and games. One of the things I'm most grateful for is him teaching me the importance of responsibility and daily disciplines. Things I did not understand at the time, but as an adult has helped me tremendously. Things like strong character, take pride in your work, money management, and never settle for less. He taught me how to be a man. These are things I'll pass on to my sons as well. I wish more fathers would step up like he did. But just like all of us, he wasn't perfect. He had his issues. There were times where even I counted him out. I seen him at his absolute weakest. But in life, it's not about what happens to you or your circumstances, it's how you react. My dad picked himself back up, dusted himself off, and made something out of himself. I'll forever look up to him, and I'm proud of him. In closing, I would just like to say, Dad, wherever you are, I love you. I know you're at peace. I know your memory will continue to live on through Oxford House and their great work. And as far as the Fox name goes, I'll take it from here. Thank you all, and God bless.
I'll close with, there were a few things that John loved. He loved his family, he loved his son, he loved Robin, he loved his car. He loved his subwoofers in the back. Always had that. And he really loved Oxford House. And thank you for indulging us tonight and letting us share this moment with all of you, and hopefully you can take a little piece of this back with you when you go back to your houses. And hopefully you all can take a little piece of this back with you. We're going to shift gears a little bit. We have a few more awards to do.